Hello, Professor. My name is Harika Bolam, and today I'm going to continue the topic of top 2022 uh, famous web frameworks. And let's start with the main features and characteristics uh, or functions of a web frameworks. So web framework offers several different functionalities to help developer easily create a website. And here is a list of common web framework functionalities, and they are managing and validating forms, and it supports templating engine. That means it helps us to create a template based on the a client request, like for example, HTML template, XML template, and additionally it supports a URL mapping, database mapping and configuration, website security against a possible malicious attacks, and moreover, it has a functionality of session repository and retrieval. That means, in order to associate with a HTTP request with an existing support with an existing sessions. And next, we'll see some main characteristics of web frameworks. So web frameworks are actually simple to use and simple to understand and adaptable, and it allows us to create a reusable components. And and moreover, frameworks manages the flow of control, and it provides the default framework code, and it gives the facility to add an extra capabilities as well. And let's see some types of a framework. There are two types of framework that called as a front end and back end frameworks. So front end is for UI interface. It is also called as a client side frameworks, and the back end is for backend framework is for background functionalities, and it is also known as a server side framework. Front end frameworks are like React, Vue, Bootstrap, and it supports front end languages like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. In the same way, backend frameworks are like Django, Ruby on Rails, Express, which supports server-side technologies like a Python, JavaScript, and a Ruby. And coming to the advantages, front-end frameworks are mostly used for UI, UX designing, and creating reusable templates and providing performance and scalability enhancing. And backend frameworks are mainly used for server-side authentication, handling, and privacy encryption and database management. And next, uh, there are mainly a four classifications of framework architecture. They are model view controller, model view model, push-based versus pull-based framework architecture, and the last three-tier organization architecture. And let's see some of the real-world example. Starting with a PayPal. PayPal has developed its application using AngularJS and achieved 35% reduction in the response time of UI interface. That means it is 200 milliseconds faster, and it reached $1.5 billion turnover per day. And the next, Forbes company also achieved best user interface using AngularJS framework with a 173 million page visits at a time. And the next is a Microsoft company. It's Microsoft itself created the .NET framework, and with the help of it, it developed a multiple applications, and it crossed $168 billion revenue. Okay. And next is the LinkedIn. LinkedIn also started using AngularJS for developing and enhancing its application. And it decreased its response time and achieved 10 times faster memory storage. And similarly, Upwork also developed a user-friendly website, which is used by around 17 million users by using Angular framework for UI interface, and it achieved revenue of almost 80 billion. And JetBrains achieved a profits of around $70 millions annually from the .NET framework products like a Visual Studio extension and .pig decompile, etc. And next we'll discuss something of SWOT analysis of web framework. And coming to the strengths of a web framework helps to achieve efficient, user-friendly, fast, reusable, cleaner, and extensible with low cost development of web applications. And moreover, it supports by providing the documentations and the groups and a community. And additionally, it provides a security to avoid any phishing or other vulnerabilities. And next, coming to the weaknesses of a web framework. So many people may learn the framework, but learning the framework cannot use if you doesn't know the main programming languages, and each framework has its restrictions. We have to follow their limitations and rules. As the frameworks is a public, there might be a chance that some people may utilize against you. And let's see some list of open source tools. Here, AngularJS, it is easy to install and user-friendly. AngularJS is one of the JavaScript-based framework. It is mainly used for front-end web applications. And next is a React.js, which is also a JavaScript library, and it is used for web development to build interactive elements on the website, and which is developed by the Facebook. And its main advantage is to reuse components and saves time. And next is Vue.js. Vue.js is very popular in these days, and it is an approachable, performant, and versatile framework for building web user interface. And Vue main advantages of Vue.js is which is lightweight and easy to learn, and it is great for startups, but it can be also used in for larger scale applications. And next framework is Laravel, which is a free open source PHP web framework. It helps to create a web application. It follows a MVS architecture, and it also provides the CMS available easy templates. And next is Ember.js, which Ember.js uses templates to update models automatically when the application content is changed, and this tool has a HTML and CSS at the core. And one of the unique feature is its router. It allows you to avoid breaking the web, and you will be available to get URLs by default. And the final is Express.js. Express is written in JavaScript, and it provides feature for creating web applications, APIs, and mobile solutions. It is compatible with the third-party frameworks. And let's see some of the list of references used in this project. These are the links for the references we have used to develop this content for top web frameworks. And coming to the recommendations for the web frameworks. Web frameworks to speed up development, helps to speed up the development process, and moreover, it can save your time, effort by providing code reusability, better debugging, and enhanced security. But a suitable framework has to be chosen based on our requirements, like based on the programming languages, features, and security. And it is better to take help from the framework community because there is always an immediate response for all type of issues. And using frameworks we can achieve and make our routine daily tasks easy, such as using this frameworks in internet development, text storage, session management, authentication, and URL mapping. And these are the recommended framework based on the programming languages. And for JavaScript, we recommend Node.js, Angular, and Express.js. And for Python, it's a Django and Flask frameworks. And for Ruby, it's Rail. And for PHP, it's Laravel. And for Kotlin, it's a Flutter. And finally, for C Sharp, it's ASP.NET framework. And these are the recommended framework for a startup. Like the Node.js, Django, React Native, Ruby on Rails, Laravel, and Flutter ASP. Are mainly used in a startups. And these are mainly recommended to the startups because based on the factors like developers availability, popularity, and scalability. And next. And let's see how to choose the best framework for your application. We have to consider a few criteria before that, like a popularity of the framework, um, whether it has a community or corporate community support or a corporate support, and knowing this history, skills required, and learning curve, like it is easy to learn or not, and the performance of the framework, and whether it is a multi-device support or not, and the supported tools, and license and security of a framework. So based considering all these criteria, we have to decide, it helps us to decide the best framework for our application. And to conclude, the popularity of websites has been increased in recent years. Web application frameworks helps the better advancements in web applications, including web administrations, web assets, and web APIs. And different web frameworks are available based on the business requirements and budgets. And using web frameworks accelerates the development of software and plugins that help increase the e-commerce conversion and shortens the time spent on the market, reducing the life cycle of the development system. So after learning about the frameworks, we would strongly recommend that our CS department to have an elective course on this topic. Thank you, Professor.